Moria, you feared to go into those mines. The dwarves dug too greedily and too deep. You know what they awoke in the darkness of Khazad-dûm, shadow and flame. You shall not pass! I am a servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Alinor. The dark fire will not avail you. Flame of Udun! Go back to the shadow.
Well, that's an interesting opening for a Star Trek podcast. Good evening, everyone. As always, I'm Captain Matt Ross, and this is Yelling at Gaseous Anomalies, and I'm accompanied by my very Tolkien-like XO, Michael Pontone. Sir. How are we doing there? Should I call you Wizard Pontone or XO Pontone? How are you doing tonight, Mike?
Pontone the Grey.
Oh, and Happy Father's Day.
Oh, Happy Father's Day to you, sir. We're both daddies now.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yay!
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Captain. Doing well, Captain. Excited for this episode in case you couldn't figure it out. I thought it was great. I've got lots of thoughts. I've got illusions. I'll tell you one thing. One of my favorite authors ripped this off. So we'll get into it. Yes. But,
okay. Well, we could talk about it, definitely.
Yes, happy to be joining you, Captain, and especially I'm always happy to join you, Captain, but especially on such a good episode where we got lots to get into.
Yep, and I'm sure all of our fans high out there are looking forward to hearing our thoughts on tonight's episode. When I asked you, were you ready to rock?
Yeah,
that was the hint. Tonight's episode is Star Trek's special episode, The Devil in the Dark. This is actually one of my all-time favorite Star Trek episodes, and I don't just mean the original series. I mean across all series.
Yeah, man, it rocked. It was better than a lot. I felt it was not a pun, but I kind of wish that that TNG or DS9, my beloved DS9, did more of these kind of. I couldn't think of a single episode where they had a good old-fashioned dark, scary adventure like this. You know.
That's true, but I also like the fact that it wasn't just that a shoot 'em up type of episode. Right. It shows Federation values. It shows that people can learn from each other. To me, it actually, every time I see this, I feel good. I feel like we have hope in the future for humanity and just being out there and discovering new things. Not everything that we run into is going to be evil or out to destroy us. And yes. This gives me a sense of hope. But let's go into the original, the background of this. I have something humorous, some things in here, and I'll just do our normal technical stuff. This was actually written entirely by Gene L. Kuhn in 2 days. His secretary said the reason why, now in 2 days, and you know what his secret was? Amphetamines. Oh, amphetamines. Close. That's what he did.
By the way, I just looked it up. The poor guy died at 49, so that tracks.
Yes, it does. His secretary said he loved to write a lot and quickly, so he used amphetamines to get past all the pressures. It's kind of sad, but also humorous. And it was directed by our reigning champion, Joseph Pevney. Anything you need efficient, quickly done, and tight, he's the way to go. It had no Roddenberry in it at all, even though Roddenberry tried to take some of the credit, as per usual. I do have to tell you, from the February 14th Valentine's Day press release, I will tell you what this story is quickly about. A distress call from a mining station on an ore-rich planet leads the Enterprise crew to an encounter with a space creature who has been thwarting delivery of critically needed metals in The Devil in the Dark on NBC's television network colorcast of Star Trek. That's a really brief rundown, but that pretty much sizes it up. The Enterprise is called to Janus II or 4 to go find out what's going on, but this story opens up not on the Enterprise. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with it. It opens up on the planet. In the remastered version, the planet looks more planety. And we meet Chief Vandenberg in his yellow coveralls talking to people, placing guards. I like that entire opening set where you see that. Well, it's beautiful. A painting, but
it looked great.
I love that. And if you look really carefully, just to those that are watching, if you watch the remastered version, on the lower left-hand corner, they have added a person walking in orange coveralls, which is the guard. I actually like the set where the floors look nice and polished. I always, in my head, imagine that Starfleet engineers or engineering trying to make the place easy for them to walk in It's one of the more complicated sets in Star Trek that Matt Jeffries made. And I love that entire opening bit where we got Chief Vandenberg talking to Schmitter. And he's leaving him there. You have to answer kind of questioningly, why are you only leaving one guard? But he's hoping the Enterprise comes. And the second the crew leaves down the hall, he's burned to a crisp. And you have to add the letter P. No P filter should distract on that. I just love the fact that Vandenberg says the word crisp twice, and always with the accent on the letter P. But anyway. Crisp.
I gotta
That's
say,
our opening.
I don't know. Again, we're going to get into it. I feel like there are some Tolkien references, including the fact that they cast some dwarf-looking, ugly men right there. I mean, they were like compared to the Adonises that realistically, Shatner and Nimoy are two very good-looking guys. These guys had some road years there, man. They were a little rough looking. They looked like they were not Starfleet elite astronauts. They looked like they were miners who maybe worked hard and had a bit of the true when they got back from working hard.
Well, that's true. Actually, just to jump ahead a little bit, Crew Chief Appel, the guy in the purple jumpsuit, he made the NBC executives and Star Trek people say, we need a younger guy to attract the kids in the crew. And by looking at Appel, believe it or not, that gave thought to the rise of adding some younger kind of ensign-like guy. Later, we will know him as Chekhov. Chekhov is added at a later time, but not for the reason of Ed Appel. But that's a different story. So what did you think of the opening where you're not even on the Enterprise on that cold open? What were your thoughts?
Great.
And nervous or wondering?
No, a great cold opening because it's thrusting you into a story. And it's not like, you don't have, it's not some mystery box. It's something that audiences at the time would have been familiar with from watching movies like The Thing from Another World or Them, or any of the Universal horror movies. People isolated a dark, scary place like a mine with shadows around every corner, and like a good old-fashioned slasher movie, around each corner is a monster that's going to kill you and just disintegrate you. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. It really, really drew you in. And especially the fact that they were saying, hey, look, the Enterprise is coming. It captures the whole wagon train in space thing, right? That these are the elites. These are the people who our heroes, the people that we watch week to week, are the elites who are called in when the stuff hits the fan. That's true.
It's also very believable from that opening. One of the complaints is the floors look too smooth. I'm serious. And, I understand why they look smooth because it is a set. But to me, it seems believable. Everything about that mine seems believable. And I'm jumping ahead to 1982 in my head because I keep thinking the Corps of Starfleet engineers drilled this out. But I also get the impression that this mining crew is almost a fly-by-night operation. They're doing things on a shoestring budget, which then brings in another larger issue since there's no money in the Federation. Why are they doing this? For profit? But, they're trying to help the Federation. They supply minerals to dozens of worlds. This specifically the made-up item of pergium to feed reactors and life support systems all across the Federation. And so the Enterprise is called on in to figure out what the heck that is.
Not only that, this is a debate for another day. Obviously, the Federation has to have money. Maybe not internally, but to trade with other races. I mean, if they want to be able to do things with the Cardassians or the Klingons, or especially the Ferengi, they need gold, they need platinum, they need things that cannot be replicated. I guess it's going to be easier to acquire them because they don't have to worry about their populace trying to acquire it for themselves. But also, it raises a point. Just because you're a human doesn't mean that you're necessarily bound by the communist law of the Federation. Cassidy Yates, Sisko's girlfriend, she was an independent businesswoman, right?
That's true. Yes.
So presumably she was making money and not just paying it over to the Federation.
Who knows? Maybe they have a special tax deal. But let's go, getting back to this story. So we have our intrepid trio, the most important people on the Enterprise, beam down. We have Kirk, it's Janus VI, by the way. Kirk, Spock, and McCoy get down there. And what I also like about that is there's a kind of hostility from the mining crew to the Enterprise crew. Like, you think you're better than us. You could even see it in the way the guard just kind of walks past them and says, yeah, this way. And they meet Chief Vandenberg. And he's like pissed because, look, I got a job to do. Just get in here, flyboy, and fix it. He gives them a brief synopsis that they're opening up a new level, and they found all these minerals and so forth, but then suddenly people started to die after machinery began to die, and not just die, they got, like, burned to death. McCoy even asks, can I see the bodies? He goes, well, we knew you were going to ask for that, so we saved you what's left. And that leaves Spock and Kirk able to talk to Chief Vandenberg and notice a purple ball on Vandenberg's desk.
Yes.
That I like that entire bit. Even though there's like these paper maps on the wall over there, I really got the impression still this was a real mining facility.
Well, not only
maybe
that,
it's just like we're
that they took the time to do to have the window in the office open to the big mine with the with the skylights outside. It could have been very easy for them to just make it a regular old room. The director said, no, we need to have some scale there. We need to see that this is an office with a vast system behind it. You know what I'm talking about, that scene, that shot?
No, yeah, you get to look out over the matte painting of the tubes and pipes. Also, it makes you have a lived-in feeling because, as I think Kirk says, that they've been there over 50 years already and they found all this stuff. It's so well done. You believe every last bit of it. And something I would say that doesn't echo in Future Trek, and it happens many times at Next Gen or even DS9, they meet an aliens or humans, and their outfits are the most ridiculous-looking things with wide shoulder pads. These are clearly jumpsuits. They're very functional and very, even though they're color-coded, you got purple, orange, and yellow. There's something about it just says that we're there for work. And this is what we do. And you get the whole feeling that, you know what? We're here for business. And that's also when we meet Ed Appel, who's saying, like, you guys think you're so special, you can't bring your starship down here, you know.
That's why we're here, Mr. Vandenberg. Oh, pretty tough, aren't you? Starship, phaser banks, when you can't get your starship down to the tunnels. I don't think there's any need to, Mr. Appel.
Kirk says, we'll do it.
Right. What a haircut there.
That's the bold cut of Chekhov later. I wonder if it's the same wig. So.
Oh, well, you look at that, right? Yeah, Walter Koenig was probably already bald by that age.
Probably. By the way, just a quick, I want to just jump back to the drafting of this. It was only 2 drafts. Can you believe that? That's what amphetamine does.
Not only that, I was reading he apparently chain smoked cigarillos, which are little small hard cigars.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, this is a good sign so far. The fewer the writers, the less chopped up it is, the more streamlined the story. The only thing that I saw here that I got a little confused by, and I'm jumping ahead, I watched this twice. I'm not exactly sure why they needed to throw in the jeopardy of the nuclear reactor part missing.
yes,
Because
the
kind of
countdown
gets mentioned, but then there's kind of a countdown, but it's very much secondary to the theme and the threat of the episode. You know what I mean?
Well, it is and it isn't. If you really want to jump ahead, the creature that they're hunting wants to get rid of everybody off the planet, and it finally gets the idea of sabotaging the equipment, which actually you have to wonder about. They keep calling it a monster, or meaning almost like a lack of intelligence, but the fact that it attacks something very specifically shows that there's a hidden intelligence in this creature, which we haven't met yet. But I will tell you, just to let you know where you're talking about that, Gene Kuhn actually wrote it that, guess what? The Enterprise is damaged by a meteorite storm. Sound vaguely familiar? That's like the 3rd time that there was a meteorite storm or the Enterprise is running out of gas. And Robert Justman said, come on, stop with the Enterprise needing more repairs. It's like, right. And then the same thing, also NBC said, stop with the Enterprise doing that. But NBC loved this episode because they were looking for a planet-sided story with a monster in it, something in there.
And they really did such a good job. I mean, the images of the burnt bodies and the smoke and, like, the panning tracking shots, there was love and care that was put into this episode. It's shot like a movie. It's like a movie from the time.
Right. It's kind of like the cat people in its shadow in some regards. That's the way I was thinking about it. I don't know if you're familiar with that film where there's always like shadow before an attack. Oh, spoilers from a movie from like over 50 years ago. But that is actually shown in this all the way through. You have like anytime there's a trouble, there's a kind of like a fisheye close up and then a shadow and then bam, a death. That's what actually happens. And as the crew are talking about the burned bodies, and Spock notices the silicon nodule, by the way. It's actually one of my favorite lines. I didn't have you come here to like go on a rock collecting hunt. That's when the reactor gets destroyed or actually gets damaged. There is a very specific thing about that, and you might not notice it. As they hear about the reactor getting destroyed, Kirk and Spock carefully enter into the room where the reactor is, but McCoy stands back and is scanning the remains of, well, what's left of the last guard there. I thought that was interesting. I think sometimes a lot of science fiction shows, all the main characters run into another room, and here they're split. I found that, it's just a weird bit of blocking that I noticed stand out. And then we go into that area we were just talking about, like, where we have the new timeline in there. And we have like this really ancient reactor. And this is why I'm saying it almost feels fly by night. Why would this very giant, big mineral operation have like a 20-year-old reactor with no spare parts?
Well,
silly.
Well, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. What if there were 10,000 mines like this and the equipment was so advanced that they have to be replaced once every 100 years, And it's like, well, they're not anticipating a rock lava monster being released. And
they should have a spare.
Captain, come on, let's get into it. I know I'm trying to do it sequentially, but I'm holding back so much. Do you not? All right, well, do you believe? Wait, no, you go, and then I'll go launch.
I was just gonna say the best part to me is that Scotty is really seen as like a guy who can come up with everything. Like Kirk asked him, "You have a spare part?" And he's laughing. Yeah, I haven't seen that in 20 years.
Yeah,
I can make something.
Scotty
I love that.
The pretty good bridge commander.
He's sure, and also a great engineer.
PXK pergium reactor? No, sir. We don't have any spare circulating pump for a thing like that. I haven't seen a PXK in 20 years. Can you rig one up? It's vital. Well, sir, I can put together some odds and ends, but it won't hold for long.
But you go ahead. Tell me what you want to say. Let's hear it.
Khazad-dûm.
Khazad-dûm.
Maybe this...
It's not Babylon 5.
No, maybe this is why Kuhn was able to rattle off a script so fast. He's like, hey, look, Lord of the Rings, Mines of Moria. How about we put Star Trek in the Mines of Moria? I guarantee you don't think that this guy, who was obviously a great writer, which means he's a great reader, took anything from Tolkien. Not. This is something, I don't know why. It's not tipping the scales, as I said before, where I feel something is plagiarism, but certainly inspired, right? In so many different ways.
But you could make that argument. There's nothing to. You could make the argument that he was inspired by Tolkien and the Mines of Moria. I mean, I could see you saying that, and I mean you and you, Mike. I mean, I could see someone saying that, but I think the story stands on its own without any homage in it.
It stands on its own. It's an excellent
pure science fiction horror
story, but it's definitely, it has to be inspired. I mean, look at this. A mine where the people working the mine delved too deep and too greedily and woke up a beast that cannot be resisted, that burns its victims, that's stalking the great halls.
All right. Well, okay, I'll give you that. It's very possible, but is Balrog made out of silicon?
Whatever.
By the way, that debate between Kirk, Spock, and McCoy about silicon life, there was actually a scientific reason, because it's theorized even still to today, silicon life could not survive in an oxygen atmosphere without exploding. So that was That was an actual scientific debate. That's why they added a line to appeal to people who know science to say, like, well, maybe this one has adjusted to survive in oxygen atmospheres in a little bit of time. Oh, and by the way, the reason why the creature takes the circulating pump is originally it was supposed to be taking the carbon rods to control the reactor. Actual research groups said that would cause an explosion, probably damaging. So take the circulating pump because that would just make it all entirely stop. So that's what they did. And there you are.
Pretty cool. By the way, I really like the visuals here that the creature, when it moves through the rock and, makes its tunnels, I love that it's so quick and seamless that it just flies right through and makes these perfectly round tunnels, cylindrical, smooth tunnels. And what are its eggs? Perfectly smooth spheres.
That's really interesting because you're jumping to the eggs, like what are those silicon nodules, which, then we find out what those actually are. But I want to point out to you that the monster, a lot of people didn't like the monster.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I actually liked that it was shaggy and you kind of know it's a person in there. By the way, it's a stuntman, Janus IV. He actually created it. He had been like apes and monkeys before, and he came out for this. And the way he sold the Star Trek people on this is he said, come out outside of the studio, and he freaked the crap out of everyone because he moved so quickly underneath it and spun around. They said, that's our creature.
No, I thought it was
That's
great.
also part of the reasons. It was. That's also why part of the floors are smooth is because he's crawling underneath that, and he's 6'4", I think it was, and sweating to death underneath that. So they wanted to make it as quick and easy.
It was truly great science fiction writing where it's saying, listen, this is a true alien, all right? Keyword alien, things that you've not seen before that are beyond our understanding. It reminds me of, once again, John Scalzi, Old Man's War. He highlights this. If we ever go to the stars, we're going to be encountering things that are intelligent, that are so far from us that we don't understand, that we might even be speaking to something that's sentient. I mean, in John Scalzi, there's a little excerpt where this colony goes to a planet. They think there's this moss, but the moss is actually an intelligent alien that's actually extraordinarily violent and homicidal. And one night it intentionally grows over them and dissolves them. So yes, there is.
I think I read that one.
If you read Old Man's War, it was in there.
Yes, I did read it. I just can't, I haven't read it in a while. I do like the fact that we also have the way the crew beams down the security team. By the way, you have Commander Giotto. He will later come back. I'm just going to give everyone a hint. He comes back as Commodore Wesley, but he's pretty cool. And of course, Eddie Paskey is there.
Oh, yes.
And then we have Kirk and Spock wandering the caverns. Even though we all know that it's a set, I can't get over how fantastic it looks. To me,
they light it very well.
Yes, and I like the fact that they're able to figure out that the silicon creatures are there. They're looking for it, and they go through various tunnels looking around.
Yes,
I actually like that set a lot. I can't go on enough about it. I like the fact that there are industrial pieces here and there. That there's rocks coming through the floor because it's like they're rushing. They didn't want to bother. They're like, close enough. People could walk by. I love that. Yeah. And the darkness. And as we're going through, we lose our first Enterprise crewman. Our first red shirt death of the day.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, I know. But I do like the fact that Kirk's upset about it. You could see it. Kirk's upset. Spock's going like, oh, it's this way. And Kirk's like, all right. Let's go that way. Right. But it's interesting because, again, everyone thinks this Kirk is just like this egocentric sex god. But he actually is, as you pointed out in our last episode, a competent commander who cares about, he cares about a lot of things. I said he cares about his crew. He really does. He hurts every time something happens to them.
He's very duty-oriented.
That's why he likes to go down first.
And then I love when Spock sees the tunnel. And again, it's just fantastic set design. What do we have all around him? Scraggly, coarse, uneven rocks. And then this smooth wormhole, right? The smooth bore that shows like, okay, this thing is moving fast. And then we see the first look at our creature.
Right, but you know what? Also, Spock says we can't even dig that fast and smoothly with our
Right.
phasers, which also tells you the how advanced the creature is. And that creature, when we kind of sort of see him, yeah, it comes around, and they're like, "Oh my goodness!" and they shoot it, which you would shoot it as well, I would presume.
Yes.
Um,
Oh,
and it took two phasers to stun the darn thing. I love that close zoom in on like there's like a look of panic on Kirk and Spock's face, and then they just shoot it. And it runs off very quickly.
Captain.
You know.
Quick aside:
Yes.
do you know the connection with this episode and the '70s horror show, The Night Stalker?
No, please do tell.
So the Night Stalker, I was researching this myself. The Night Stalker was, for everyone who doesn't know, a series in the '70s, kind of a proto X-Files, where this investigative reporter, a little sleazy but a heart of gold, basically each week investigates a supernatural threat going on, generally, I believe, in Chicago. And there is an episode called The Sentry, Sentry, as in a Guardian, and it's the same script, essentially. It is miners being killed by a monster that is ultimately, big reveal, guarding its eggs, except that it's some stupid guy in a lizard suit. Looks worse than the Gorn. But yeah, for all you completionists out there, if you want to see a gritty Chicago horror monster of the week version of this episode, check out The Night Stalker, The Sentry, which is on YouTube.
Well, it's actually a really good, I thought, story there, right there, where again you got something hunting and killing these miners. But the thing that I like the best about it is that you think that there's some sort of malevolent motivation here, at least at this point. I also like the fact that they shoot off a piece of the creature. Kirk says to Spock, "What is that? And what would you call it?" And he goes, it's kind of like fibrous asbestos, so I guess better wash your hands afterwards." But it's pretty cool that they have a piece and it's like moving kind of.
There's something about the set design or the direction where when we see it, even though it's being shot in a way where it's saying like this might not be the evil predatory thing that you think it is, even from the first moment we see it. It just seems kind of vulnerable a little.
Well, that's the first time it pauses, and you get the impression that there's some sort of intelligence there. It pauses in front of Kirk and Spock, like it's almost like it's anticipating or trying to figure out how Spock was able to figure out where it is. Right. And their weapons seem different, and they look different, and they're acting different. So it's almost like, I wonder what these people are. I think it was like almost like trying to figure out who these two new people and the other people are put together. The red chair is like, a snack, I guess. But this is a part where we're coming up to actually something where real life actually intercedes, where Kirk and Spock actually begin to split up, and we actually find where the creature is. Mm-hmm. Shatner's father died in the middle of this coming on up. So they actually had to film around it. Eddie Paskey. So when you see a couple scenes later where it looks like Kirk is staring at Spock and the creature, that's actually the stunt double. So Shatner, they took a couple of days off. Shatner had to fly down to Florida because his father died. But when he found out his father died, he said, "This is a tough scene. Let's finish it. I got to finish it so we can get moving, and I'll be back in a day or two." And everyone was impressed that Shatner held it together. You'll see that he seems a little bit more tense in a couple of the other scenes. That's him dealing with the death of his father, who he considered his best friend or one of his best friends, and also dealing with a divorce at the same time.
Goodness.
So and then his flight wouldn't leave until like 3 a.m. So he just figured, well, I'm here, let's do it. So that's pretty wild.
He's a true professional, if I can say anything.
He is. That's what most people said about him in this. They pointed out that he was an actual true professional in the entire thing. I just wanted to read this entire bit. He also pointed out that D. Kelly and Leonard Nimoy said, "Bill, we could come back and do it later. Don't worry about it." He goes, No, I got to finish this.
Wow.
And one of the things that he said, his pain was awful. And then this is a quote from Shatner. "All through the scene, I kept having trouble with a particular line. My emotion was getting in the way, making me forget. The one thing I recall perfectly and that I'll never forget is the closeness that my friend Leonard had toward me, not just emotionally, but physically as well. I mean, I've seen film of elephants that support that sick and dying with their bodies, and Leonard somehow seemed physically close to me. So, the crew here, believe it or not, for all the bad blood that we hear about between Shatner and Takei, and even with Nimoy, at this point, they're like close friends, even D. Kelly as well. And even Shatner's stunt double didn't know, that's Eddie Paskey, that's Lieutenant Leslie again, didn't know that Shatner's father had died. They just know that he finished a scene and he had to leave. But so all the scenes where you think Kirk is standing there, no, he's not. But that's the dark point of this. I do like the fact that when they decide to split up the security team, they're all looking at something in their hands. I guess I got PDAs. I thought that was kind of cool, like little mini maps to go hunt down this creature. Spock says, let's try and save it. Even though at first they were thinking of killing it, when Kirk hears him say that, you get the impression of a tension where Kirk tries to send Spock away because he thinks that Spock's going to be a pacifist. What did you think of that entire little bit there? Did you think that was Kirk saying, get out of my face? Or do you think he was actually concerned about having Spock die and with a huge amount of odds against it? What did you think?
Mr. Spock, I want you to assist Scotty in maintaining that makeshift circulating pump.
I beg your pardon, sir.
You heard me.
Obviously, he's worried about Spock dying. I mean, they're in a very dangerous situation here. And yes, it's very clear that he always, especially coming off of the last episode, and as silly as it was, with your silly little spores. But I mean, even more than usual, it was highlighted that they're essentially in a relationship.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, can we skip ahead to the mind meld?
Sure, let's just do that.
That was silly, but awesome.
Oh, yeah, I actually love that. Jumping ahead to the mind meld after we find out the odds of them both being killed is 2,228.7 to 1.
2,228.7 to 1. Those are pretty good odds, Mr. Spock.
And they are, of course, accurate, Captain.
Of course. Well, I hate to use the word, but logically, with those kind of odds, you might as well stay.
Kirk actually and Spock split up. You'll notice that there's a cave-in where Kirk is somewhat trapped, and it's the monster pushing that. And that's where you see the face-off between Kirk and the creature. And he's like, so what do? We just talk it out? Obviously, they can't talk, and that's when Spock comes. And he uses the same thing they use in The Taste of Armageddon, where he feels the creature from a distance.
I guess that my only thing is, why didn't the creature just kill them when he saw them? Because of the phasers? I
think, yes. Every time Kirk raises the phaser, the creature backs off because it's already been hurt by the phaser. I think that's what it is. That's what it's trying to imply. Every time Kirk raises it, the creature backs off. When he lowers it, it gets closer, but it doesn't attack because it's not sure what to expect. Maybe the creature at this point realizes the importance of Kirk, or maybe it thinks, if there's only some way I could communicate with him. Only some way I could communicate with the creature. But I like that scene, where it's kind of like they have a détente, if you will. Yeah, and then Spock comes in and feels through the air, and then we find out something I find rather kind of telling. Through the air, besides yelling pain, which is pain, also in a holiday ornament I have of Spock touching the Horta.
Really? Can you please send me a picture of that?
I will do that for you, not a problem. I'll even post it on the community channel, too, as well as some other fun things that I have about this episode. But that scene where Spock realizes that there's something there, the creature then backs off and writes the iconic line, "No kill I," by picking up, I guess, English from Spock's mind. I love that a little bit. With the smoking letters.
Very tragic. I felt bad for the creature all of a sudden.
What did you think? Did it mean, please don't kill me, or I won't kill you? What did you think it was at that moment?
I thought it was saying, please don't kill me.
Yeah, I did too. That's because the thing's hurt. But then you have Spock touching it. But go ahead. I got to
bring this up as to another place. I'm going to tell you something where a favorite author of mine might have ripped off this episode.
Oh, Who?
Have you ever read It by Stephen King?
I never read It by Stephen King, but he probably
Okay.
did see, I mean, he
Can
was
I tell you what the
a high on
climax of the
cocaine.
book is?
Go ahead.
Okay, so they're adults, the adult section, right?
Yes.
The adults have returned, and they've essentially defeated Pennywise. Pennywise
space
appears
spider.
in the underground caverns, correct, as a gigantic spider. Check this out. I'm going to do this as quickly as I can. The Losers Club, they've all been successful. None of them at the age of, say, 39, 40, have had kids.
Right.
Despite some of them occasionally trying very hard to have kids. Because it is revealed that the spider, is female, and it is pregnant.
Ah.
And it lays a clutch of eggs, about 1,000 eggs, as it's dying, and it says, "Please don't kill me. I can give you anything. I can touch you and I can make you live, maybe not forever, but for 1,000 years, for 2,000 years. You can have fame, you can have glory, you can have fortune. Please don't kill me." And it's revealed that it's really evil. It is definitely evil. It is not like this rock creature that is actually just a mother.
Mm-hmm.
It is really, it's an evil creature that does want to consume, but it is also terrified of non-existence of it and its clutch of eggs. And ultimately they do kill it, and they have to go back around, and they say that they almost go insane, smashing these space eggs with these wriggling terror spider babies in them. But anyway, who knows? It's so similar. You have a scary creature in the depths of a cavern with a clutch of eggs protecting them.
Well, that's true. But you also have in many science fiction things where the bad guy says, "Don't destroy me. I promise I'll be good," or "I'm the last of my kind." You see that in the video game XCOM. Spoiler at the end if you're trying to win. You can also say you saw that in the Voyager episode with the clown.
Oh, the Thaw, my favorite.
The Thaw, yeah, that's actually really. I actually like that one. A lot of people don't like it, but I like that.
It's not to
Thaw.
like. Who are these chooches who don't like it?
Well, there are people out there. McKeon is actually really great as the clown, but
He's
I mean,
amazing.
he's afraid. I know. That's actually my
Yeah.
I
mean, if there was
spoiler.
ever any captain who was going to be cold as ice, being like, "Yeah, I'm killing you. I know
Yeah.
you're a sentient being. I'm making an unqualified choice to murder you."
Hey, Tuvik's had to die, but anyway, that's my opinion. Mainly because he looked too good in his paisley outfit when he merged with Neelix, with Tuvok and Neelix. Take a look one day, everyone. Anyway, but this is also where we're revealed. It's even before the eggs when Spock. First of all, we see that the Horta is damaged by the phaser fire, but when Spock actually makes physical contact to it, what I find most telling, again, and this is a thing when people don't know about each other, when you meet people you don't know, or they're strange in some way. Some people have a natural fear or unnatural fear, but the Horta feels the same way about the human miners as the miners feel about the Horta, which is that the Horta thinks that these invaders are monsters, devils even, and they're killers, and they're killing the future generation, which is what the silicon nodules are later revealed to be what they are. They're eggs. They're actually eggs. And what had happened is that the miners, in their attempts to gain more and more minerals, broke into the nursery. To them, these round balls just seem to be silicon oddities. But they're actually the eggs of the future generation of Horta, millions of them, in fact. And they've been destroying these eggs and silicon modules as if it was nothing. They had no idea. How could they? It's even pointed out by Chief Vandenberg. They wouldn't know. Of course they wouldn't know, because they don't have Spock to touch the creatures to figure it out. I thought that was actually very well done. I mean, you could sort of figure it, the round ball. If you've read a bunch of things, you're like, it's got to be eggs. But I think when I first saw this, I had no idea what they were.
I thought they did a very good job by making it distinctly not egg-looking. It
Yes.
looked like, it looked like something where if later on someone said, "Hey, by the way, that was an egg," you're like, well, that doesn't look like an egg how a human would consider it. But also, we're not dealing with humans here.
That's the cool part about it. You're dealing with a different type of life that's so utterly different from humanity that you don't know. It's silicon It eats rock. It tunnels, very well graphically done in the remastered version. It's interesting to
Yeah,
look at.
man.
They put some sort of
That
shimmery thing on
shot.
it. Oh yes.
That shot when he comes out when it comes out of the tunnel, it dissolves through the tunnel and it spills out. I'm like, now how close? I'm watching the remastered. That was an amazing special effects shot. How close was that to how it actually looked?
Well, the wall turned red on the original, and then it kind of came through. So it wasn't as fabulous as this one with its animation thing, but it was pretty good even for watching it on a standard definition television when I saw this in the 70s and 80s. But I got to tell you, the remastered version really makes a great thing. By the way, I do also like the way the creature like kind of undulates or breathes and what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I thought, fantastic.
Yeah. And I honestly, I can't believe that it's only one guy. I actually thought that it was two small stuntmen in there.
Now, as one guy, he was very tired at the end of this, by the way. I bet you can believe it.
Well.
Yeah, well, for $60, that's probably correct.
Oh, boy.
I do like the fact that, by the way, speaking about money, what do you think? Was this under budget or over budget?
I'm going to guess over budget. I got to say that on the one hand, I'm looking at this and I'm like, it looks really good, but I guess they could have done this all on like one rock set. Like they could have shot 90% of this on one rock set if they were smart about the angles. But I don't know. The creature looks so good. It's got a big cast. A lot happens. I'm going to say over budget. I'm going to say modern equivalent. I'm going to say it was over 200,000.
Yeah, no, close. It was originally budgeted for $182,000. It came in at $192,683, partially because Shatner was out. So this, and also for these effects and redoing the sets, and also, believe it or not, the phaser fire. The phaser fire costs money. It's a big deal. So this is $1967 now. So in today's money, that's $1,796,000, $496.64. It's quite a big deal, I think. They had to film around Shatner several times. By the way, Shatner, Doohan, and Nimoy said this is one of their favorite episodes. I
had read that, and I could see. I mean, of course, I could see why. I mean, it's a great. Man, just like Taste of Armageddon, it's a great piece of sci-fi, of speculative science fiction. Uh-huh. How about this? I bet you that you never thought about this before. You know what I mean?
Right. And
really, really pushing out into the depths of imagination.
But it also shows you something else. It does show you beginning the moralities of Starfleet and the Federation. You have the miners wanting to try and kill this thing. But you have Kirk saying, hold on a second, this is an intelligent creature. And Spock saying, yeah, they're peaceful creatures, in fact. But that's when we get some sort of comedy. You have McCoy coming down, and Kirk saying, go cure it. He goes, I love the line that McCoy says here.
Not a bricklayer.
You can't be serious. The thing is virtually made out of stone. Help it, treat it. I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer. You're a healer. There's a patient. That's an order.
That's right. That's one of my favorite ones. McCoy looks at it going, this thing's silicon. What do you want me to do about it, Captain? You're a doctor. He's a patient. Or here's a patient. Heal it. It's your job. McCoy's like, all right, I'll think of something. But that's actually the best thing.
Oh, and I'm telling you, just smart, cool stuff. Again, sometimes there are episodes that I see here, and they're written so ham-handedly with everything, and they're spelling things out that they shouldn't spell out, and they're also just forgetting to write things that they should have had good explanations for. And this one, it moves so well, and just a little thing where you just see Dr. McCoy on the radio saying, yes, I'm telling you what to give me, shut up and give it to me. You know what I mean?
It's a communicator, like, oh my God.
Well, I know,
communicator?
But when he's saying, like, I'm telling you what to do, and you're like, what is he doing? What is he, what? And then he walks in 5 minutes later with his hands covered in cement, and he's like, I patched him up with concrete.
By golly, Jim, I'm beginning to think I can cure a rainy day. Can you help? Helped it? I cured it. How? Well, I had the ship beam down 100 pounds of that thermal concrete, you know, the kind we use to build emergency shelters out of. It's mostly silicone, so I just troweled it into the wound, and it'll act like a bandage until it heals.
But that was one of the complaints also about the episode is like, why does the Enterprise have concrete? Well, you know what? They even say it. It's for emergency shelters. Yeah. The Enterprise is the go anywhere, do anything starship. To use a watch phrase, the GADA of Starship, GADA, go anywhere, do anything. You know, they go in there, they rescue people, they're the police, they're the explorers, they're, you know, jacks of all trades. And so they come on in, and it actually makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't you use concrete to fix a rock creature?
Sure.
Especially since the concrete they're using is made out of silicon. Mm-hmm. And this is where we have the final scene at the end.
Yeah.
Kirk is able to find the circulating pump, which is what they need to fix their aging reactor. And this is also we get to have our little Latin lesson of the day, where, you know, the miners saying there's going to be millions of those things. Yeah, they live in rock, and you guys complain that you can't collect things. So why don't we come up with a modus vivendi, you know, a way of life? And there's your Latin of the day. So, you know, they eat rock and give you the minerals you process, and you guys leave each other alone.
Yeah.
And that's the way it works.
And a beautiful, beautiful, you know, happy ending, a true happy ending, which you don't always get in Star Trek.
That's true. And, you know, even though there are 52 people that are dead, you know what? Mistakes do happen in life, and hopefully you won't be part of that mistake count. I do also like, right before that, is how the miners attack the security guards. I like that because even though this is supposed to be the 23rd century, human frailties and panic do carry forth in this.
Yeah, I'm sure that, what's his name? Roddenberry hated that.
He didn't say anything about it, actually. He was just happy that Gene Kuhn could write an episode.
Great episode.
This also, I also like the ending where, as they're leaving, Chief Vandenberg says, like, you know, they're not so bad to look at once you look at them, and they're all cute, and they're digging all over the place.
Yeah.
And Spock says, you know, what's really funny is that the Horta said the same thing about humans, is that you guys aren't so bad to look at once you get used to it. And then you have that McCoy smartass line. He goes, what'd she think of your ears? Oh, she thought they were fabulous. Oh, really? That was...
I know. I love that, too. He's like, she loved my ears, actually.
Tell me, did she happen to make any comment about those ears?
Not specifically, but I did get the distinct impression she found them the most attractive human characteristic of all. I didn't have the heart to tell her that only I have...
She really liked those ears?
Yep, the Horta is a remarkably intelligent and sensitive creature with impeccable taste.
Anyway, I think that's the entire episode, but it's really an exciting one. It's a good one. I could watch it again and again.
Yes.
It's I like the idea also, just like where the eggs are kept, the Chamber of Ages, the smoothness of everything. It's well done. I guess, you know, maybe we should come to our final ratings here, Mike. So I'm going to ask you first on our 1 to 10 scale. What are you going to give this one?
I don't think there's any question here or surprise. I'm giving this 10 out of 10, Captain. I loved it. I thought it hit everything, well acted, well shot, new ideas. I love horror to begin with, so I like that it was a little bit of a spooky aesthetic. And it was kind of also a feel-good at the same time, which is very strange for Star Trek and for horror. So A+.
Yep, I'm going to agree with you. Again, look at that 3 in a row. I'm also giving us a 10 out of 10. This is actually one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek. I know I probably say that every episode, but no, not really. I'm not a big fan of Mudd's Women. This is a 10 out of 10. You have it all. You have the Federation feel. You have competent crew members. You have adventure. You have excitement. You have mystery. You do have a little bit of horror. And you see humanity dealing with the unknown and the unknown dealing with us. And the nice thing is that the horror isn't really a horror. It's just another person, a mom trying to protect her kids. Arthur C. Clarke, the science fiction writer, loved this. He liked specifically that the alien was not malevolent. DC Fontana liked the fact that the creature was a mother trying to protect its young. And that adds a nice little piece to this. And what mother wouldn't protect its young? I'm sure your wife would fight to the death to save your baby girl, as you would as well. Mm-hmm. But it's always a special tie between mothers and children. I also like the fact that the entire race dies off.
Yeah.
Every 50,000 years or so. It's kind of weird, but it's almost insect-like, and you have like a queen bee or a queen rock in this case. So yeah, a 10 out of 10 for me as well. It's a good time. So glad that we could share that with you all. But let's talk about what's coming up next. The next episode is called Errand of Mercy, where we meet one of our favorite antagonists that we see for years on end. And that's coming up next time on Yelling at Gaseous Anomalies. In the meantime, if you like what we do here, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and tell all your friends. And remember to check out our TeePublic t-shirt store under Yelling at Gaseous Anomalies or Yelling at Gas. And also, speaking of Yelling at Gas, that's our email address at yellingatgas@gmail.com. Mike, is there anything else you want to add or anything else to this
Nope.
perfect episode?
Captain, thank you very much.
All right.
I am appreciative of the journey when it goes to such nice places, and I curse your name to the heavens when you send me down the exploding Jeffries tubes of bad episodes. But this one, I got nothing but gratitude. Thank you, Captain.
Well, you're very welcome, but sometimes you have to send your crew into death-like situations. We have several more coming up.
I
Next
know.
week's episode, you might actually like a lot. It's also a really good episode to me, specifically in what it actually represents. And we find out more about our friends in the Federation. This was a great time, as always. It's always good to have discussions with you, Mike. And as always, everyone, live long and prosper, and see you out there.
I suspect you're becoming more and more human all the time.
Captain, I see no reason to stand here and be insulted.